Hi, and welcome to the extras edition of My Mum Said I Could Watch It. Can I pick up 100 sterling Super Kings? This is about the extras on Cat's Eye. As you can see, the reflections in my eyes have set up a certain tone. Also, I've gone for darker lighting. I'm going for a Baywatch night network sort of vids vibe with this one, because in the next 10 minutes I'll talk a bit about the extras and more of my musings from those extras as opposed to my review of the film as a whole. So here's the box. I think we've done all that. So first off, we've got the original theatrical trailer. That was interesting. It's odd watching films getting the bombast. My knowledge of Cat's Eyes came from video, which is very relevant to some of the things I'm going to say in a bit. Apparently, it didn't do very well in the box office, but did gangbusters in videos, which again comes down to medium affecting narrative. Yes, that's the sort of language you get on extras, the beat poet sort of level. The interview with director Lewis Teague is quite interesting in that it shows more about an overview. These interviews are all contemporary, I should stress as well, so they're not necessarily first-hand as such. I read an article recently. I say read an article. It was a poster. There was a cat next to it. Something along the lines of when you think you're remembering, you're not remembering. You're thinking about the last time you thought about something. That, I feel, applies to a lot of what goes on in these interviews. He talks about Dino De Laurentiis and the general overview of the process with the film and where it sits in his oeuvre. He did direct Cujo after all, and what makes it front and centre that I totally would have been lost on me as a kid is that this is knowingly comical. This is a deliberate Black Mirror satire element. I could watch this film and think that this is how life is. The audio commentary with him, I want to save until the end. Johnny Norris on the Edge. Robert Hayes remembers Cat's Eye. Now, for those of you who don't recognise the name Johnny Hayes, he's also the key pilot in Airplane. Again, really cementing to me how the absurd and the comical is in this film. And Robert Hayes, I will say, in terms of the half hour that we spend in the company of this man, talking about a film he made probably, 30 years ago? Wow. I don't know how he didn't become the next Cary Grant. The warmth and charm he exudes while he's talking about what he can remember of the film, and he makes no attempt or derision over what he doesn't know. It was a professional experience. It was a job. He talks about the pigeon. He talks about stuff like the acting pomps that he got from the guy with the gun, basically the gangster of the film. Who just as he's about to shoot him, just starts flicking through porno mags. The guy was learning as a young actor about ad libs. The danger, yes, he wasn't all that high up, but he was 15 foot, and I think he does mention that how he basically broke an ankle at some point during the filming of The Ledge, so there was genuine hurt, and levels of danger involved there. But ultimately, I could just sit there and just a Comic Con. He's genteel rather. He's warm and he's effusive about everything he's done, and it also makes you realise, given he did Airplane and this, that acting is a real thing. I think with movies we often forget that. We go, all right, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. We don't think about the range that people just have to have and hope that something keys in for them. So, yeah, definitely worth seeing. Teresa Ann Miller, conversation with the animal trainer. Now, animal safety is such a key issue. No animals were harmed in making this film, but they weren't. Is it's a weird one to me to a degree. I don't believe in. I mean, I grew up with the PG Tips monkeys, so I understand that one of the PG Tips monkeys is apparently did fall into bouts of depression once he was no longer famous. I put that story alongside Cocaine Bear in that there's a narrative in my head that has absolutely no respect for animals whatsoever. Um, in trying to think he's right, but the reality is that they can be quite damaging. And for what? Ultimately, for what? I eat meat. I eat dairy. There is a produce with an end result. It, it's not about my entertainment. Um, she comes across, and also it just tells you a lot about the history of it. She's as a young woman working with a dad on this. Again, you just feel there's a real sense of, because God knows how they found them in order to make this DVD. That's the fascinating thing. Robert Hayes, okay, yeah, he's a jobbing actor, but the Animal Trainer from 40 years ago, to talk about the craft, to talk about really the guardianship of what that is and how that works on set. And again, it's minutiae that would never occur to me, but go, oh, right, yeah, of course. I'm a sucker for logistics, and I'm a sucker for passion, and in both cases, both of them bring that across. And the last part I wanted to talk about then, because it's the last thing, is it is without doubt the commentary. He doesn't just talk over the film. He talks about his relationship with Dino De Laurentiis. It gives an insight into studio production. It also gives an insight uh, into where this fits in terms of his process of working with Stephen King, his films with Cujo, other movies that he's made, and you realise what being a jobbing director is. I mean, I gotta say, I said, oh, he's made this film, he's made that film. But if you ever turn around and said Louis Teague, I wouldn't necessarily go, oh, right, it's a Louis Teague film, I've got to go. Um, he touches also on the fact that the reason why this film was so successful, or rather why it's validated having a reissue now, is because it's an anthology. Anthologies don't work in the cinema. Anthologies worked in rental. I automatically will go, what about Creepshow? Creepshow, you watched on video as well. He makes the point that you can turn it off, go make a brew, and come back. You are adding commercial breaks whenever you watch an anthology on a small screen. And this is an anthology with one directorial vision, encompassing a lot. It's the humour of it and the nature of each fear, and realising that what happens is that you go from a massive abstract fear with Quitters Incorporated, his own definition, the most relatable fear in the film, to the vertigo of the ledge, where man is reduced to the smallest element. Everything else can kill you. Everything else can kill you. To being exploded again, where it's the things you don't see because you're too big. Your perspective is just too broad. You won't see the troll. You won't see the little knife. You won't see that the air is being sucked out of your daughter. It's this play with perspective that encapsulates what I was trying to understand with this film. It is a film about scale. It's a film that can arguably be metaphorical for the cosmological, the paranoid, and the insignificance of man, all seen through the perspective. It really is about the perspective of a cat through each individual event that comes through. That cat would probably have been fine on the ledge to a degree. That makes me think that my comments before, I like to mention economy. I think it's wise to mention economy. That film was £9. Would I pay £9 to see the film? No. Would I pay £9 to see the film with those extras, knowing that I'm now going to sell that Blu-ray off to go and get something else that I can then review? Yeah, it's a buy and trade film. It is a buy and trade film. It's not. It's not a keeper, but at its current price point of less than a tenner, I would say yes. I think it's worth your time if you're interested in studios and in movies and how they were made and how that can be done in the future. I would say yes at this point. Film plus extras. It's a buy to sell. It's a buy to sell. Thanks very much, and I will see you with the next flick.